Hi.
Good morning from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Western Michigan University. Good evening to all of you in Indonesia. A very special and warm welcome to our friends at JIC, Jakarta International College. This webinar is especially for you, for this long-standing partner of Western Michigan University, and to introduce us to JIC and to talk a little bit also about our partnership, I'd like to ask Kiandra Susanto to make a few welcoming remarks.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hello. My name is Kiandra Susanto, and I'm the marketing director at JIC. I'm actually also a JIC alumni, but I was there when in 2009. So the agreement between JIC and Western Michigan University wasn't take place yet. So I went with the Monash College program and went to Australia. So that's a bit about me. But before we go on, I would like to say special thank you for Western Michigan University people, and special thanks to Paulo and the Dean Steve Budd, Associate Dean Stephen Newell, Associate Dean James Cousins, Lee Ryder from Immigration Compliance, Mohanan from the International Admission, Eva Kopija from CELCIS, and special thanks for Alice and Hunter. So is Hunter gonna start off with the presentations first, or is me? Okay, so a bit of overview about JIC. The first intake for Western is actually in 2010, and currently up to now we have already over 300 alumni, including the two that's going to join with us today, Christopher and Novena. And we're actually accredited in Indonesia by Ban PT, and we're also licensed by the Ministry of Higher Education in Indonesia. So currently we also have two campuses, one in Jakarta and one in Surabaya. And currently we're also building our own building, and hopefully we're gonna finish it up in 2021, if not then in 2022. We're anticipating for a bit of delay because of the COVID-19. So we're gonna take a step from there. So the next one is our Western Michigan University program. So we have three programs. The first one is actually 1+3 programs. That is 1 year in Indonesia and 3 years in USA. And this one is actually open for all faculties, and that's why we have all the faculties from engineering, science, and arts today with us, because I know that the prospective students that are current students right now that's looking at this webinar is very their interest is in variety of faculties, not just business, although we have to say that business is actually predominantly in Indonesia. And we have also the business major, which is the 2+2 program. That means students get to stay here for 2 years in Indonesia and 2 years in USA. And the last one, I'm sorry, this is actually a 2+1 program. Why did I say 2? Because it's 2 years in Indonesia is actually a 3 academic years in Western Michigan University program. However, the first year, 1 academic year is actually 8 months period. So if you have first year for 8 months, second year for 8 months, and the third year for 8 months, we have 24 months. And we can do that because we're on a trimester basis. And actually, our students, not all of them transfer to Western Michigan University. However, 80% actually transfer to Western. And from what I heard from them, when they actually come back and talk to me, they actually enjoyed it there, because like in Western, in Kalamazoo itself, it's a student town, I would say, where it's busy during the student term or student semester, but it's quite empty, I would say. during student break or summer holiday. But I would say it's a plus point for Western because you can really focus on your study, and besides you can go traveling anywhere in USA during the holiday seasons. And then and then from the parents, I actually have heard of good things from them as well. They actually love it there. Even one of the parents that send the kids there, they purchased a house over there. Yeah, and then even though it's a student town, there's also a factory outlet there. So girls, don't worry, you can do your shopping over there. Okay, so next slides, please. So this is actually YGIC. It's a guaranteed placement to Western Michigan University. It has an excellent preparation. It focuses on the group work because in Indonesia, especially the national curriculum one, we don't really focus on the group work stuff. And then you can actually stay longer with your family, and they have the small classes, and you can find your specialization in terms of you get to stay here for a bit more, and you can think about your major once you are on the transferring terms. So you got a bit of more time over there. And then smart savings because you still live with your parents. And then one-stop service in terms of we actually help you with your student visa, and for your family, we also help with the tourist visa. So as an alumni myself, I would like to pinpoint actually on this excellent preparation because it's very nice to actually adapt one thing at a time. And if you start here first, you get to adapt the curriculum itself, so one thing at a time in the comfort of your own house, and you don't need to think about like doing your laundry or even like what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and other stuff. And then the other thing that I would like to pinpoint, but it's not here, is actually the friends. Because if you start over here, you actually have a group of friends already, you're close with them already, and it's so much nicer to transfer there because you already have a friend. Because I mean, your parents wouldn't be with you for like 1 month or even 3 months during the adaptation time. So by the time you transfer there, you're ready with the curriculum, you have your friends, so now you can focus on adapting with your surroundings in terms of your day-to-day life. And then next slides. And then here is our pride and joy. These are our students. These are the students that have successfully completed our Western program with a GPA of 4. So as you can see, some of parents ask me whether it's difficult to get a GPA of 4 or not, but I always say to them that we always have students transferring with a GPA of 4 in every intake. And I'm happy to share with you from two Western Michigan University people over there. Our students look at the 2020 from spring 2020 to fall 2020. We have a lot of GPA of 4 students. So we're sending it to you. Okay, so next one. Okay, so this is an exclusive scholarship. Well, JIC is really happy with Western because I think they're really treating students right. If you get good scores, then you get a scholarship, and it's really it's attainable. I mean, you can see it from here. The starting scholarship is actually from GPA of 3.5. I have asked from my academic director, what's the average of GPA of 3.5, and she said to me that it's actually an average of 85. So if you have during your high school, if you have a score around 85, then you should, I would say that you can attain it. And then the scholarship starting from 5,000 and then up to 15,000. If you must know, the tuition fee at Western is actually around 19,000, I would say. So it will really help you out if you need the help in financial terms, especially with this pandemic. Maybe your family is businesses are not doing very well, so this could be a help for you guys. And then the criteria for the maintenance of the scholarship, you need to maintain a GPA of 3, which I say is a fair one, and it's a rather fair one from Western. And then you need to enroll as a full-time student, which means you need to enroll in a 12 credits point per semester. And yeah, that's it. So I would really want to cheer up for the students, and I'm gonna give the screen back to Western people over there. Thank you so much. And once again, I really appreciate your time for the benefit of our students. And students, please, if you have time, please ask directly to them, because I know you guys have a lot of questions you ask to us that maybe we cannot answer, and this is the time for you to ask everything. I mean everything, because here you have everyone from any division, you know. So this is your time to ask away. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra. It's so amazing when we have, our JIC, our partner university in Jakarta, saying such wonderful things about Western Michigan. It's great when someone else carries our flag for a little bit. So that was a great presentation about, how good it is to come to Western Michigan. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kendra. As you mentioned before, we have a really good Western Michigan University panel for you today. Although you already got an overview of the opportunities you have here, especially in terms of scholarships, and I was really glad to see Kendra highlighting our scholarships, because we're one of few public universities in the United States that has a specific scholarship program just for international students. Besides those highlights, we have a really good panel for you to also know what's going on. What are the new programs and the highlighting some of our top-notch programs, and we also have some other panelists from the international office. I'm Paulo Zagallo, and I'm the associate provost for global education. So I'm the head of Western Michigan's international office. But we have with us today also Dr. Steve Butt, from the dean from our College of Engineering and Applied Sciences. We have Dr. Steve Newell, the associate dean for the Hayward College of Business, and also Dr. James Cousins, the associate dean for our College of Arts and Sciences. Now, between these three colleges, we pretty much cover over 80% of all the international enrollment at Western Michigan University. Clearly, three magnet colleges for our international students, no doubt. But obviously, we have other colleges, other programs that you also know about, I'm sure. We'll also have our Director of Immigration Compliance, Lee Ryder, from the Haenicke Institute for Global Education. Also, Dr. M.K. Mohanan, our Director of International Missions, also from the Haenicke Institute. And also we have Eva Copia from our Center for English Language and Culture for International Students, CELCIS, our ESL program. And we have, last but not least, two of our JIC WMU students here to tell you about the experience of being a student, a JIC student at Western. And so with no further ado, I go on to give the mic to Dr. Steve Butt, the Dean of the College of Sciences.
Greetings from the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences at Western. I'm very excited to be here today, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have at the end of the presentation. Before I move on to the next slide, I just thought it would be nice if you just take a look at the building in the background. This is actually where all of the College of Engineering resides, and you're able to see one of the two wings here, the east wing. There's another wing off to the right side of your screen. So again, we're in a very nice location, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of slides. But Hunter, if you could go forward and play the video, that'd be great.
Welcome to the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences at Western Michigan University. Our 3,000 students are part of a large public research university, but enjoy the benefits of a small college setting. We have our own beautiful campus just down the road from Western's main campus. The college offers 14 accredited undergraduate programs and 18 master's and doctoral programs. We have internationally recognized professors. They offer many research opportunities for both graduate and undergraduate students. In a rigorous program like engineering, sometimes it's hard to make a smooth transition from high school to college. The Student Success Centers, learning communities, and free tutoring and mentoring really make a difference. And there are so many ways to get involved. With 30 student organizations in the college alone, there's something for everyone. We participate in outreach activities, connect and network, attend conferences, and compete in design-build competitions around the country. Come visit us and see what sets us apart.
Right. Well, thank you. Well, hopefully you saw that there's many different student activities that take place out at our campus. Everything from the concrete canoe to the Baja vehicle that you saw that's driving around campus. So there's lots of student activities, lots of ways to get involved right away from day one when you get there. Just to give you a little more background on our buildings, it's called Floyd Hall, and it's very large. You've got the dimensions up there on the slide. But we are about 6 kilometers away from the main campus. But we have a bus system that actually comes in on the half hour, so it's very easy to get back and forth between the main campus and our facility. So we're actually set right in the middle of a business technology and research park. And if you think about the size of our building relative to the number of students, we're sitting right around about 2,800 students, most of those being undergraduates. But also within that space are more than 75 teaching and research spaces or research labs. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little larger perspective of our campus, this is a picture from the backside of our building looking out into the Business and Technology Research Park. This park has been in existence since 2003. We actually are really focused in this space on life sciences, advanced engineering, and information technology. And most of those companies, which right now there's over 40 in the space, also do co-ops internships with a lot of our students, right? So since it does match up very tightly with our college, there's often opportunities there for students to work in those spaces too. So again, just a reminder that there is a bus service and we have no problem getting between the two. Thank you, Hunter. Well, let's just look quickly at some of the programs we have. Quick background from me. I've been at Western now for 23 years. I was a department chair and a faculty member in industrial engineering for many years. So it was great to see on those previous slides the IEs that are actually on their way. I'm glad to see that, and I know we've had many in the past as well. But we've also got other programs available. And if you just kind of scroll down and take a look here, in total we have 15 undergraduate programs, many of those associated with engineering, but we also have 2 other categories, one in engineering technology and one in applied sciences. The industrial engineering in particular is a little different than what you would see in most traditional programs, at least, is we also have a 3-course sequence in entrepreneurial engineering. So not only are you learning the skill sets of an industrial engineer, but you're also learning about business in some respects with respect to product design, system design. So we also go through that process, which we then link into our IE curriculum, and it becomes a nice mesh because a system is a system, and essentially we're able to actually show that as you walk through the curriculum. But we also have many of the other traditional programs, as you can see on this list. Paper engineering is one of those that's not that traditional. There's only 3 programs left in the United States, and we are one of those, and we actually very, very much populate the industry from our program. And then the last program I'd like to highlight is, you can see the asterisk under Applied Sciences, is a cybersecurity degree. As of fall 2002, we're opening at the undergraduate level a cybersecurity program in conjunction with the business college. And essentially, this will be a fully online program, but you will also have the opportunity to take these classes on site. So if you could go to the next slide, please. I don't want to spend a lot of time on some of these other programs at the moment, but I'm really putting this slide up so that you can understand that everywhere there's an asterisk, we actually have a program where you can do what's called an accelerated master's degree. So what happens is, in your senior or 4th year of your undergraduate program, you're able to start taking graduate courses at an undergraduate rate, so a cheaper rate, and then apply those to your master's degree. So essentially, it reduces the total number of courses you'd have to take to get both your bachelor's and your master's, and usually can finish that about 1 year after your bachelor's degree. So again, almost all of the undergraduate programs that we had listed on the previous slide, we have a master's program that actually matches up to that. And so there is a lot of opportunity if you'd like to stay for your master's degree, and you think about this early, you actually can move into that accelerated version. We also have the traditional versions of our master's and our PhD programs as well. Next slide, please. So this is one of the key things I'd really like to highlight, is that we do have opportunities and we do have resources available for students in terms of being able to get help if they need help with tutoring. If they need a location which is more suited towards other students in, say, in engineering, we actually have the engineering house. So again, I think this is a great opportunity, particularly for international students coming in, to find ways to meet the other engineering students as well as then study with them, et cetera. So when you look at there's 3 different locations. So there's 2 of them are on the main campus, and 1 of them is out in engineering. Most of these are actually open until 1, 2 a.m. sometimes, just so that it helps you with your studying and outside of your normal class time. So again, I think this is another great opportunity that Western offers. Next slide, please. So if we look at then for our undergrads and some of the basic outcomes, and these are based off of the 2018, 2019 graduates. We'll soon have the numbers for our latest graduates from 2019 and 2020. But again, when you saw the video at the beginning, I think you saw there's a lot of activities, a lot of experiential things that you can do. So almost all of our students in some way have experiential education activities, many and multiples in many cases. The same goes for work experience. 80% of our students have had at least 1 internship. And again, I would say over the last 5 years or so, most of those students have had multiples. And in many cases, you'll see up to 3, maybe even 4 internships, because those have actually gone down into that freshman and sophomore years for some of our students. So there are CPT opportunities associated with that. And again, as we talked about before, there's over 30 different registered student organizations within our building, which you can get involved in from day 1. In fact, typically when our freshmen and transfer students first get to us, we have an open house so that the organizations can actually meet with the students. In terms of what happens after you graduate, the median salaries right now for our graduates, and this is overall for all our undergraduate programs, is somewhere in that $60,000 to 1,000 range. If you look at the opportunities in terms of the job that is taken right after they graduate, 98% of those is related to their degree. And again, many OPT type opportunities available there. And the last thing, and I think it's really important, is that 91% were very satisfied with that job as they left. So again, I think the outcomes continue to be great here at Western, and we'll see those continue even into the future, I'm sure. Next slide, please. Again, with these next couple of slides, I don't want to spend much time. I know you'll have access to these if you want to see some of the research and campus. You'll have the opportunity to look through these. So this first slide mainly just shows the research centers and institutes that we have within our building. A lot of those, as you can see, are related specifically to certain disciplines. So the first one, vehicle design and simulation, comes out of our mechanical engineering department. The smart sensors comes out of our electrical engineering department, and so on as you go. Next slide, please. These are some of those research laboratories, which also then in many cases are used as teaching laboratories that we alluded to up in the first couple of slides. This isn't all 75, but there are 75 different labs available within the building, some named by companies who sponsor those and others that are not. But again, you'll have an opportunity to kind of scroll through this at a later time since it'll be available. And the same with this slide as well, just again showing not necessarily labs now, and this is always changing. It's changing with the times, and again, take a look at this, and if you have any questions about any of these, I'd be glad to talk about them. So in terms of how easy is it to get a job, there's several career fairs that go on throughout the year, but there's one specifically that is hosted out at our campus called Engineering Expo, and it typically happens early in the school year. In this case, this year will be September 23rd, and this will be our first one, which is actually virtual due to COVID. But we usually have over 200 companies in the building looking for students for internships, co-ops, as well as full-time jobs for those students who are getting to graduate in that academic year. So it's interesting that we have to do this as early as we do, because most of these full-time students, in terms of who will be going out into the working world after their this particular year, they're already getting jobs in fall to be able to start typically in the May-August timeframe. So there is a lot of demand out there right now for our students, and there is a link there if you just want to go and take a look at some of the companies, et cetera, that will be coming to our fair. Next slide. I'm going to hand it over to Steve Newell from the Business College.
All right, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. My name is Steve Newell. I'm the Associate Dean here at the Haworth College of Business, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about the college and some of the advantages for coming to Western and coming to the College of Business. So I think we have a video coming up.
Taking your first steps at the Haworth College of Business isn't about knowing exactly where you're going. It's about exploration, searching for the passion that drives you to change the world. The Haworth College of Business is about limitless experiences. From our nationally recognized programs, ranging from integrated supply management to food and consumer packaged goods marketing to sales and business marketing, the possibilities are endless. It's about the resources to help you go from being a student to a leader. Resources like the Career Center, offering customized support for first and second year students exploring majors, or juniors and seniors searching for that perfect internship or job. We are about fostering lasting relationships. Professors with leading industry experience ready to equip you with tools for success. Advisors with a passion for directing you to your desired destination, and lifelong friendships that go far beyond the classroom. At the Hayworth College of Business, it's not about the destination. It's about the experiences and relationships you make during your journey.
All right. I hope you found that interesting. I think that's sort of gives you a great basic overview of what's going on in the College of Business. Now, a couple fast facts that I'd like you to know. We are among the 16,000 business schools in the world. We're one of only 5% that actually are accredited by the AACSB. And just so you know what it means to be accredited, is this a governing organization that looks at business schools worldwide and decides that they have exciting and innovative curriculum. It also looks at the faculty members and their qualifications, both as teachers and researchers, and also the ability for us to actually prepare for careers and placement afterwards. So if you look at that, 5% of the 16,000 schools are accredited, and we are unique in the sense that we're accredited not only in the business school, but also separately accredited for the accounting program. Our undergraduate enrollment as of last year was about 3,600 students. We remain one of the largest business schools in the United States. Now, what that means for you is we have a variety of programs you can choose from, a variety of areas in the business realm. Also, the great news about Western is we only have one big auditorium classroom. The rest of our classes are much smaller, and we have class enrollments from probably 25 to 35 on average for almost all of our courses. So we're a large school with a lot of opportunities. We're actually smaller in terms of being able to interact with you personally on a one-to-one basis. We have a number of nationally ranked programs, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And as you saw in the video, we have 17 majors and 15 minors in business to choose from. Next slide, please. As you can see here, these are the undergraduate majors is broken down by department. I want to highlight a few of them. Marketing department, 3 nationally ranked majors. The sales business marketing program is #1 in the country. Supply chain management is a top 10 program for the last 10 years or so. And the food and CPG marketing program is one of the top 3 in the United States. In addition, we have a couple other programs I want to highlight. We have business analytics, which is now a relatively new major, and companies across the world are looking for students, graduates, to be able to understand analytics and data and to be able to apply them to business strategy. Our digital marketing and e-commerce is one of those majors that not only has 100% placement, but also our students have actually performed so well in national competitions and in first place in a number of those. And then we have a very unique and leading leadership and business strategy major that just came on board this last year, and we're working with companies and integrating and experiential learning with specific company practices. I believe this is one of the most innovative majors in the United States, and I think that's an up-and-coming major that is going to be exciting to be a part of. So all of our majors are great, but those are some of the key ones that you may want to think about and look at, and we have a lot of opportunities and a lot of choices. Next slide. We have 3 graduate programs. We have the Masters in Cybersecurity, the online program that Steve talked about a second ago. We have our MBA program. We're the oldest MBA program in Southwest Michigan, and it's over 50 years old, and it's usually focused on young professionals coming back to school. It's a nighttime program, but we do have a number of international students that come to Western to get their MBA as part of that program. And then we've got a master's in accountancy. One of the great things about Western, I think Paulo talked a little bit about that, is we have a great community. Kalamazoo is a great Midwestern university town. It gives you a great feel. It's safe. There's things to do, but it also gives you a real understanding of what most of the students in the United States live and go through in terms of when they go to college. A great other news is we've got a great location. We're only 2.5 hours from Chicago. We're able to go to the biggest, and I think Chicago is the best city in the United States and one of the best in the world. So really close to there from just a train ride away. We have a great campus, green campus that is beautiful and a great place to be. But also the College of Business has great facilities. And one of the great facilities that we have is a Kaiser Sales Negotiation and Leadership Lab. This is we got $1 million from an alumni, and we took that money and developed the most state-of-the-art sales education lab in the country, and it's fabulous. And our program, the sales program, is the #1 program in the country, and it's really state of the art and top of the line of any other facility in the United States. Next. We also have a very interesting, our Greenleaf Trust trading room for our finance majors. We use the room not only for teaching most of the finance classes, but also it's unique in the sense that we are one of the only 50 or so universities that Bloomberg data is able to come into and utilize. So the Bloomberg terminals provide real-time data into the financial world and what's going on in the marketplace. And in fact, if you're in those Bloomberg data terminals at the campus of Western Michigan University, you're seeing the real-time data Wall Street traders see in New York. It's an amazing facility. We just revamped all the computers. It is top of the line and one of the most exciting things we have in the College of Business in terms of preparing you for a financial employment. Next. Also, we have the new Sanford Center for Financial Planning and Wellness. And what this is for finance majors and supports the financial planning majors. But in addition, the goal is to create a space in which we can educate not only students, but community members into making good financial decisions. In the United States, we have a problem. We don't manage our money well, not only students, but also just the community at large. So this is a place where we can help them understand return on investment, not only for their careers and what majors to take, but also things like planning for retirement, mortgages, car loans. The goal for this center and the goal for the finance department in general is to make sure that people in general and our students specifically are financially literate. Next. One of the other areas I think you'd be very interested in is in the College of Business, we had the Global Business Center. And this is a center that sort of facilitates and champions the idea of global business, not only in the college. We work with Haenicke in creating this great place to be able to understand what's going on internationally. So it's a great place for international students to come and to be able to help in terms of some career and advice in terms of their classes. But it's also a great place for our students that are domestic to be able to understand what's going on globally. We have over 160 students, I think before the COVID crisis happened, 160 students in the College of Business participated in study abroad, both short-term and long-term. Let's look at the next slide and we'll talk a little bit about that. One of the things that we're planning on doing, not only at the university, but at College of Business, is that we think global opportunities and global knowledge and education is so essential for all of our students. You're great. It's great that you're willing to come to Western Michigan University and also interact with our students to make that a real-life, day-to-day educational system. But in general, we really try to emphasize our students getting experience both short-term and long-term internationally. As you can see, I think we've got 16 different programs that we run, both semester-long and short-term programs. The great news, and you may want to think about this, is we've had a number of international students doing a study abroad within their study abroad at Western. So if you're interested in coming to Western and maybe taking a short-term or even a semester-long program while you're here, that's something we can work on and work out with you. And the great news for you is if you're a College of Business major, that you are also available for the idea of scholarship money that we will give. In fact, programs, we give $1,000 toward going short-term and $2,000 for semester. One of the other areas I want to talk about is our Zhang Career Center. And this is a center which our students go to prepare and get ready for that next stage in their lives after they graduate. What's great news for you if you're coming in the College of Business and for all of our students is we really place an emphasis on preparing you not only for the career, but also preparing for that first interview that you're going to have with an employer that you want to work for. So they have constant resume developments that you can be a part of. We have experts looking at your resume, making changes and modifying that. We also have interview skill training. So we do mock interviews with the real employers coming in to test you, to ask you questions, to make sure you understand what it's like to have in that first interview. We have counselors to do career coaching with you. We've got businesses coming in and speaking to our students regularly, so you can go visit them and talk to them and hear what they have to say. And also we have a unique program called externships. What this is you can sign up with a number of other students to go to a specific firm for a day. And what happens, they show you around, you get a feel for what it would be like to work in the company, actually on site with the company. And it's one of those really neat things so you can have an idea of what's happening before you're making any commitments or even thinking about, going to a firm permanently. So those are some of the great benefits the Zhang Career Center has. And I would argue the Zhang Career Center is one of the very best business career centers of any university in the country. Next one. Just as an overall view, just so you get an idea of how well we do that, there's 95% of all the business majors, 95% have a job when they graduate, and also in specific disciplines like sales and business marketing, entrepreneurship, and digital marketing and e-commerce. We have 100% placement. Every single one of the students who graduates with those majors actually has a job when they get out of school. All right. Thank you for giving me time to talk a little bit about the College of Business. Overall, Western Michigan University is a great place to come. It's a great university. And the College of Business is a great place to prepare for your business career. Thank you.
Well, hey, good morning, everyone. My name is James Cousins. I'm a history professor, but I'm also the Associate Dean in the College of Arts and Sciences. Really appreciate everyone's time this morning, and excited to tell you a little bit about the College of Arts and Sciences, which is the largest college on campus. So we have a mission statement that's interesting to read and really sets up the rest of the presentation. So I'd like to read it sort of verbatim here and then move on with the rest of my presentation. And our mission is to ignite and sustain a passion for learning and discovery in the humanities, the social sciences, and sciences to help students, staff, and faculty succeed in life and contribute to the betterment of our communities from local to global. We emphasize critical and creative thinking, multicultural and global awareness, complex reasoning, and written communication skills. Our core values include collaboration, creativity, equity, integrity, and student success. And our internationally known researchers and professors come together to provide an education that bridges the humanities, social sciences, and STEM fields of study. So, there's a lot there. Our college is the largest, and we are spread throughout the campus. We have 11 buildings that are really all over at every point of campus. We house many majors, and a lot of these majors are known as discovery majors. That is, students didn't know that they existed, but come in and through our general education curriculum find a passion for a field that they didn't know existed. We are also, I think, a terrific addition, a supplement to the programs that you've heard aforementioned in the College of Engineering and College of Business. Wonderful opportunities to expand and sort of perfect your knowledge in entrepreneurship and also sales and marketing, and also some of the scientific knowledge that you'll need in engineering. I'd like to move on to the next slide. So these are, again, some of the high points kind of distilled down to a graphic. We have around 4,500 students, something around on the order of 330 faculty, which gives us an opportunity to provide a very low student-to-faculty ratio. A lot of student organizations. You see 156,000 square feet of laboratory and research space, and that really speaks to our research mission. So the Carnegie classification rates Western Michigan as a high research university, and that means, for your purposes, that faculty split their time between teaching and research. That gives us the opportunity of having faculty bring their sort of cutting edge research into their teaching, which incites passion in students and allows faculty to explore their interests. So it really works extremely well. This is cutting-edge research that they're bringing directly into their classrooms. We also have a chapter of Phi Beta Kappa, which is very distinctive and very special, and many universities work for a long time to achieve that distinction, and that is an honor society by invitation only, that is that's open to all students, and it is a real mark of distinction on one's CV. So next slide, please. These are really exciting experiential learning opportunities that we have in the college, and this just sort of just really gives a glancing blow to some of the amazing programs we have. It's an opportunity, again, for faculty to involve students, undergraduate and graduate students, in the research process, which is an amazing way to practice your interests immediately. A lot of students come to college and have to wait years before they're actually practicing what they're interested in, be that history or psychology or archaeology. If they have an interest in computer science or robotics, they'll have to wait through years of coursework. But at Western, we do everything we can to involve students from their first year forward. And that just adds so much to your program and gives direction and, again, incites a passion in a way that I think is a really unique feature of Western. Learning's so natural because it's immediate and it's immediately applicable to what you're doing. So the Capital Intern Program, for instance, is that's through the Department of Political Science, and that selects somewhere on the order of 30 students a year that travel frequently to Lansing, our state capital, and they participate in sort of legislative sessions. They meet with lawmakers and otherwise really get a ground-up understanding of laws and how our state legislature works and operates. And every year they come back and sort of report on their findings, and I'm always amazed at the kind of level of detail and the thoroughgoing knowledge that they acquire in that process. The Fort St. Joseph's archaeological project is another really interesting way for students to explore their interests in archaeology. This is in Niles, Michigan, which is about a half hour from campus. And again, students that are interested in archaeology don't have to wait years and years and years before they can explore archaeology. They can get in immediately. And this is was an old encampment by the French along the rivers and the trading posts, and it's really elaborate. They drain it every summer and do an archaeological dig and write up their findings, and a lot of them publish from that. I'm very proud of the Kalamazoo Autism Center, which I think is one of the kind of crown jewels of Western Michigan University. Just an amazing facility from a really terrific psychology department. So, the services they provide and the opportunities they provide to undergraduate students to get in, again, very early on, and provide help and also bring awareness of autism in the community. And of course, the Michigan Geological Survey, and we house the collections for the state in a warehouse very close to campus, which is massive, and core samples and studies and research opportunities that go on there. And this, again, just kind of scratches the surface, but we work very hard to bring undergraduate and graduate research to the fore in your program. And again, that just incites all sorts of wonderful opportunities for students to get in and get the ground running. Next slide, please. So we have a number of programs. I mentioned we have 11 buildings spread throughout campus. We divide our programs up between 3 major areas, and those are the humanities, the sciences, that is science and mathematics, and the social science. And I'd like to start first with the humanities. And the humanities are a group of disciplines that seek to understand human behavior, that is, individual human behavior. So this is economies and cultures and societies and how humans have shaped the world and how we're shaped by it. So these are the quote-unquote book disciplines. And this includes my field of history. I am an American historian, and I am a cultural historian. So I look at intellectual history in America in the early 19th century. It's a wonderful opportunity for, these are just really interesting, compelling majors that have real vocational benefits. So a lot of humanities majors will go on and into career fields which require a lot of research and just superb communication skills. So for English and history and our language programs and philosophy and religion, they require you to have a deep and thoroughgoing knowledge of the research process. That is, how to collect evidence, how to distill it down to its essential points, and then how to disseminate that knowledge. So you can just imagine the many career fields that would benefit from this, and anything that really benefits from excellent writing and speaking skills. So obviously attorneys or technical writers or journalists. I've had many students go on to work for the State Department, or become legislators, or run for elected office. Obviously teachers. I'll also say that there's many business majors and engineering majors that choose to have either coordinated majors or minors within the humanities. And also that medical schools love the humanities because they're so interesting and different. And I think what you'll find is a lot of students that go to medical school have one of the very traditional medical majors, that is the chemistry or biological sciences, and very few of them select a humanities major. And I can say that election into the decision to go to medical school should be weighed carefully as to what your major should be. And there's an opportunity for all of these majors to fulfill the prerequisites to pursue medical school. So that's, if you're interested in that. So so the the sciences are vast, and just some really amazing faculty. And psychology is included within the sciences. We are one of the nation's only behavioral science programs. It's the B.F. Skinner School of Psychology. And again, that's the home of our Kalamazoo Autism Center. We have a nationally recognized, nationally ranked physics program, mathematics that's split between our applied mathematics or theoretical mathematics and our mathematics educational faculty. Geological and environmental sciences. Our dean is a geoscientist, geochemist actually, and really exciting research into that makes use of the Michigan Geological Survey and the collections that we have on campus, and biological sciences and chemistry. And again, I mean, just some amazing opportunities across the board in all these fields for undergraduate and graduate research. There's amazing things that are going on in our biology faculty research, where you have students, for instance, studying glaucoma, which is an eye condition, and publishing papers and becoming nationally recognized in improvements in all fields. So very exciting. And the last area is social sciences, which are social sciences consider societies as a whole and interactions among people in society, those relationships and how they interact with each other and react to externalities. So these are similar to the humanities, and different in theoretical orientation, where the humanities is more philosophical and focused on individual humans. The social sciences are concerned with societies and groups as a whole, and they apply the scientific method to those fields of study. So careers and opportunities within the social sciences, similar to the humanities, but slightly different. So obviously, labor economists, psychologists. We have a number of students that become social workers or urban planners. Again, anything that looks at complex human systems of organization. Next slide. We have a number of really terrific, nationally recognized master's and doctoral programs, and I want to run through a couple of these with you quickly. So again, in humanities, some amazing opportunities to continue on in your field of study. The placement rates for English, I know, are pretty superb. So typically people that pursue an MA and a PhD have an interest in teaching in post-secondary education, so that is in colleges. And I know my home department has something like a 96% placement rate for people that get a PhD in history, which is just extraordinary until you travel around the country and find out how many PhD former Western students are out there now teaching in college, not just four-year institutions, but high research institutions and community colleges and really colleges of all types. But also the opportunities that are available to you if you pursue an MA in some of these other fields, just how that expands your career opportunities. And same can be said with the social sciences. We have a vast array of MA and PhD programs in the social sciences. MA, so an MA in anthropology, for instance, will allow you to run your own cultural resource management firm, which, and in the state of Michigan, every site that needs to be developed, that is developed by the state, that is a building or a park or anything that's going to be built for the state's purpose, requires a site survey, and those have to be conducted by a trained and certified anthropologist. And so an MA in anthropology certainly helps you achieve that. We have an exceptional medieval studies program. We have the Medieval Congress. The International Medieval Congress meets on campus every May and brings together thousands of medievalists from all over the world, and it's world recognized. It's an amazing program in and of itself, and the MA travels very well. So you'll get a number of students who complete an MA in medieval studies, and they'll go on and get a PhD at another institution. And the same could be said of all these programs. Our SPA program, our Public Affairs and Administration program, highly successful students come out of the public administration track, and obviously sociology as well. So really terrific programs there. And then I'll go back and just say something about the sciences. Obviously a lot of just amazing MA programs here, and psychology, as I mentioned, the MA and PhD in psychology and physics and chemistry and biological sciences. Many opportunities, not just in academia in sciences and mathematics, but also in industry. And so a number of our students go on to work for medical device companies or in research laboratories, both in Michigan and throughout the country. So we can move on. And I think study abroad is been mentioned, I think, very well, and arts and sciences make specific use of our study abroad programs, specifically in our language programs, which are immersion-based. And these we have short and long-term study abroad programs that can, that really look to place you in a situation, in the surroundings that ask you to exercise the language skill and ability. And I think that's where a lot of them are most effective. But also short-term, semester-long course programs where students would take courses in, I had a student a couple semesters ago that took a semester at Cambridge and took a number of courses in British history there, and we worked very carefully to make sure that every course and every learning opportunity that you take advantage of transfers back, and so that's so it counts towards your degree program. And in the College of Arts and Sciences, we offer tens of thousands of dollars, more than $150,000 exactly, to students that would like to avail themselves of study abroad opportunities. We seek to promote it at all levels, and our advising team is very careful to help students negotiate the study abroad process and streamline it and make it just as easy as possible. It can be intimidating for some students to, but we do our best to make it easy and really sort of turnkey. Next slide. Great. Yeah, and again, just the scholarship opportunities for either the short-term or long-term semester programs. Really, not a lot is required of those applications. Just kind of your basic information and where you want to go. We really try not to scrutinize the value of that experience from our perspective. We're more interested in how it adds to your learning, and really just want to get money out there to people that have an interest in studying abroad, because we look at those as sort of force multipliers. I mean, the knowledge that you bring back into the classroom is just invaluable, not just to yourself, but to other students. Next one. So, yeah, and just some really impressive metrics regarding our graduate placement rates, and I think that has a lot to do with our efforts to get students in research experiences early on in their careers. That is not just cleaning instruments, but actually as partners in the research experience. So really making use of and putting to immediate use the knowledge and the abilities that they're gaining in the classroom, which again adds another level of, I think, interest and can incite passion in students for their fields of study. It's a different experience altogether than, I think, going to an institution where you spend so many years in the classroom just sort of learning theories without the application piece. And we work very hard to not flip that totally, but certainly merge the two, the theoretical with the practical applications. And that obviously pays off in the career placement rates. Employers, want and expect students to have that sort of the ability to jump in and to flatten the learning curve with whatever career that they've chosen. So, and our students demonstrate that, and then by extension, have created a really excellent reputation for future WMU students who come out into the workforce. So having the stamp of Western Michigan University on your transcript really does carry a lot of weight because of the many excellent students who come before you. And these are, again, just some of the employers that we have personal relationships with, and that where we place students. I can speak specifically to Pfizer and Stryker, where we've had a lot of success with sort of merging programs and getting their insight on the creation of new, in this case, science programs. But yeah, and the more that we've made and solidified our partnership, the easier it is for our students to get in, not just for internships, but for actual careers. But the many, and we work hard to cultivate and continue to refine these relationships and build new ones. Again, all for the benefit of our students. So in sum, we offer a lot, and we ask students to be open-minded when they come to Western, so they can really avail themselves of all the interesting opportunities that we have. I did at the outset. I mentioned the term discovery majors, and that's really, I think, what you have to open yourself up to, is that your passion, your interest is, if you come into college with one set of ideas and assumptions, be open to the idea that could change, and that you could find yourself with a deep and thoroughgoing passion for, archival research, and you could, or physics. And it just takes just a little spark, and we provide that. We provide that range of disciplinary knowledge, and also the opportunities to pursue it at a high level. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cousins, and thank you also to Dr. Newell and Dr. Butt for their amazing presentations about all the opportunities you can find in these three colleges at Western. Now we are going to continue with our presentations. You've heard about JIC, you've heard about all the opportunities you have there, and how JIC is connected to Western Michigan University. You heard from our colleges, and now you're anxious to know, how do I get there? So we have from the Haenicke Institute for Global Education, HIGI, as we often call it, my office, we have 3 people from my team to help you knowing how to get here, how to apply, be admitted, and especially given the current immigration restrictions that I'm sure many of you have been reading about or heard about recently, we also want to help you answer some of those questions. So we'll start exactly there with Lee Ryder, our Director of Immigration Compliance. Lee, mic is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to start with giving a brief overview of immigration in the United States, and then we'll close with options on your program of study, whether it's here in the US or starting from abroad. First of all, I just want to emphasize that these travel and visa issue delays are temporary impacts due to COVID. The timeline is fluid. We expect the situation to improve. Already we've seen many consulates in Asia start to resume some of their student visa processing and very late in July. We're not seeing that for Indonesia yet. We're seeing some of the immigrant visa processing, but we are seeing visa processing in other parts of Asia, so that remains very hopeful. There are some exceptions for emergency appointments and national interest, and these consulates are reviewing their policies frequently. So the situation is fluid, and we'll continue to see more openings soon. Next. While we're dealing with some of these travel delays, I just want to assure you that for students who are in the US at this time, we have quite a few, about 2,000 SEVIS records. Immigration benefits are ongoing. So there are many students here who are continuing to apply for their OPT, to get their work permits, to start after graduation. Also, students are applying for CPT, which is authorization for an internship in the US during their program of study. We're still helping students with change of status petitions, and even H-1B approvals inside the US are still being granted and processed. Our university has a full-service immigration advising office to provide expert advice. Fortunately, our university is unique, where for the past decade, it's kept an immigration attorney on staff to lead the department and provide expertise to our students and staff to assist our students through the complex area of immigration. So that's a real advantage to our students who can avail themselves to that expert guidance. And then also our university, while there's COVID, there's been ongoing distance education for all of our continuing programs from remote. Next. So I realize that in the news, there's been a lot you've probably been hearing about presidential proclamations. So I have the links to them here, but I'm just going to touch upon them really briefly because there's been a lot of confusion about these. This one, for instance, there was a proclamation on immigrant visas, and I'd like to clarify that it's just that. It's for certain immigrant visas only for people who are outside of the country. It did not impact students. It did not impact any of the student categories which are non-immigrant categories. So I just wanted to clarify that distinction. Next. Then there was a subsequent presidential proclamation that did impact some work visas in response to COVID. This is strictly an entry ban, so it only suspended entry from people outside the U.S. that did not already have a work visa in that category, such as H-1B. However, for people who are inside the United States, they were able to process work visas, like, for instance, students on OPT who've been sponsored for H-1B can still get change of status inside the United States. And this was temporary just through the end of the year in response to COVID. This did not impact any students, and it did not impact any of the J1 scholar research categories. Also, I want to address that there are some continuing travel restrictions at this time. This is fluid and this can change, but recently we saw that travel restrictions for Europe, UK, Ireland were lifted for people who were in country for 14 days prior to entry. They're still in place for China, Iran, and Brazil. The situation is fluid. I want to point out that we have an excellent resource on our website. We have links to our outside counsel immigration firm for day-to-day updates, for country-specific immigration information around the world. They can be found at this link. We have a lot of resources, everything from immigration on our WMU website as well. Next. So for international students, just to provide a summary of your options, we do have some clear guidance now from Homeland Security that we're pleased to announce. You might have heard in the news that there was a lawsuit from Harvard and MIT. This was in response to Homeland Security coming out with some earlier guidance saying, well, you can be in the U.S. if you have some in-person component to your program, but if you're all online, they were saying you cannot study in the U.S. Well, I want to point out that there was a lawsuit, and then in response to that, Homeland Security withdrew their guidance, and then very recently, on July 24th, came out with new guidance. So as a result, we have good options for our students who are both inside the United States and outside the United States. So I realize we have lots of students from both areas listening. So if you are a continuing student, and that would mean if you were enrolled at Western inside the United States, even if you since left or traveled, if you were enrolled student at WMU in the US on March 9th, you're considered a continuing student. And continuing students can still enroll entirely online. Okay, so the new Homeland Security guidance is supporting that. You can still continue entirely online, whether you're still here in the US, many students are, or if you traveled abroad during COVID, which many students did, to be with their families back home, that's okay, and they're still continuing online. Those students can still stay active too, entirely online. You can return to the US and continue entirely online if you were a continuing student, someone who was enrolled at Western in the US as of March 9th. So this is really good. And there were also temporary adaptations that were posted by Homeland Security, certain exceptions where if a student couldn't get a full course of study, could they still remain active? Students on OPT that couldn't find full-time work, these adaptations allowed exceptions for students to still be in status and be CEVIS active. And so those exceptions that were announced in March, they're still available. So we're happy about that as well. Now I'm going to switch gears to initial students. What's the new rule for initial students who are coming to the US for the very first time? Well, Homeland Security clarified that the rule for initial students is you just cannot enroll entirely online in the US. So if you come to the US, you can't be all online. So what does that mean? Enroll in just like at least one hybrid course of your full course of study, or one in-person course of if you're undergrad, it would be 12 credits. So just one online or one in-person course of your total 12 credits will maintain your status. So as long as your program is not entirely online, we can give you an I-20 with which you could get a visa when consulates resume. And that is enough to maintain status under the current guidance. So for instance, that could look like an undergrad student might take one hybrid and the rest could be all online. And under the new guidance, that works for full-time enrollment. Many students are asking, can they start a program at WMU as an initial student from their home country abroad and then maybe get their I-20 and come here to the US for spring 2021? Yes, that's an option. So if you're studying from your home country abroad through distance education, you don't need a visa to come to the US. You don't need an I-20. You can just be admitted and start and then request your I-20 for your visa to follow for a future semester. So that's certainly an option as well. Next slide. And then also I want to point out that all of this guidance applied to F1 students. And I want to distinguish that there's another type of visa program called the J visa, and students on J visas were not impacted by this. So there's even more flexibility for students on J visas. They've been continuing all online without any problem. And it's just important to note those two different visa types because there's slightly different rules or flexibility for each. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, Kiandra. Good afternoon, those who are in Jakarta. Thank you for joining us, we look forward to seeing some of you in future. Maybe for the spring semester, hopefully we can see you on campus if things work out well. Next slide, please. By the way, my name is M.K. Mohanan. I'm the Director of International Admissions and Services. There are a few quick facts that I would like to convey to you. We have over students from over 100 countries enrolled in Western Michigan University. We have a total of 265 graduate and undergraduate programs. Graduate programs include certificate, master's, and PhD. We also have a good number of undergraduate programs. We are one of the top 100 public universities in the country according to the US News and World Report. We are also ranked highly in the QS and Times report. Next slide, please. And Western Michigan is located halfway in between Detroit and Chicago. And Chicago is one of the most modern cities in the country. And I like Chicago better than even New York, although I live close to New York for many years. And we are also about 2.5 hours from Detroit, which is the global automobile headquarters. So we are located in between these two major cities. It's an easy ride either by car or by train to either of these two major cities. Next slide, please. And in the Office of International Admissions and Services, we do two functions. We do recruitment, admissions, enrollment, and we also provide immigration advising. We advise students on a walk-in basis when our office is open, but right now we are providing virtual services. We provide appointments, walk-in, like 3 days we provide walk-in advising, and then other days we provide appointments. And then you can come and see one of our admission counselors or immigration advisors. And we have a lot of resources for international students on immigration, and we also provide information on immigration We also provide travel signatures. If one of our students is going abroad to visit their home country, they will need to get a travel I-20. So we will also sign the I-20s for your travels. Next slide, please. And these are the major colleges that we have: College of Arts and Sciences, Aviation, which is one of the best colleges of Western Michigan, the College of Education and Human Development, Engineering and Applied Science, College of Fine Arts, Haworth College of Business, and also the College of Health and Human Services. And we have 60 specialized institutes and centers, and we have 28 agreements with local community colleges that facilitate transfer to Western Michigan. And we also, our student faculty ratio is 17:1, which is one of the best. Next slide, please. And in fact, we have expanded the English proficiency test code, different types of test scores, especially after the COVID-19 closing. Many countries, the TOEFL, IELTS, they kind of closed their test centers. And as a result, we started accepting scores from so many different sources. MET is one of them. MET is the old form of MELA, which is administered by the University of Michigan. Duolingo, which is an online test. You can take the test, you can register and take the test. Within a couple of days, you get the result. And CEFR stands for the Common European Framework of Languages, that is administered in many countries. And these are the score requirements: undergraduate and graduate. And graduate is slightly higher than undergraduate. So in addition to these tests, students who do not meet these requirements also can enroll in our CELCIS and take ESL classes. One of the best things about taking ESL classes is that students who are in the pathway programs during their second semester of the pathway program, they can also get, otherwise if they are academically eligible, they can also get the scholarship, Haenicke scholarship, for one semester. This is the information about the scholarship. I think Kiandra has mentioned the requirements about the scholarship. Our top scholarship is $15,000, and the mid-level scholarship is $7,500, and the lowest level of scholarship is $5,000. And one of the best things, like Kiandra mentioned in her presentation, that US students, mostly the GPA ranges fall between 85 and 100. If that is the range, most of your students will be eligible to get this $15,000 scholarship, which is one of the best things for your students. So, these are the requirements. You must maintain, once you get the scholarship, you must maintain 3.0 GPA, maintain your full-time student status. For undergraduate, it is 12 credit hours. In an academic year, it is a total of 24 credit hours. And you must also maintain your international student status. Like if you happen to change your visa status to something else other than F1, like H1 or permanent resident or something, that means you will not be eligible to get the scholarship beyond that point. So that's the information basically about the admissions and international student services. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to contact us through email or through phone calls. Thank you so much.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eva Copia, the CELCIS chair, and I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about CELCIS. Next slide, please. CELCIS is our intensive English program here at Western Michigan University, and CELCIS stands for Center for English Language and Culture for International Students, a long name. But we are a full-service intensive English program, and we have been in existence since 1975. Our teachers are both highly qualified and experienced in teaching English as a second language, and they truly enjoy working with international students and teaching English. So our classes are usually small in size. Students get a lot of individual attention, as well as an opportunity to talk to their teachers one-on-one during their office hours. So next slide, please. CELCIS offers two types of programming, which one is our core program. It is based on ESL courses only. And we also offer a pathway program designed for the students who want to combine ESL coursework and academic coursework. So ESL courses currently offered both in person and online versions as full offerings. So our classes stress academic preparation of our students. So we prepare our students so they can be fully ready to enter their academic programs, either at Western Michigan University or also at other American universities and colleges. And the second program, Pathway program, is an excellent choice for those students who do not fully meet the English language proficiency criteria to enter academic programs. So you can enroll in Pathway program in two different ways. One is if you satisfy the minimum eligibility criteria in terms of English language proficiency, and you would notice that these criteria are lower than our full admission criteria of language proficiency. And also another possibility is, of course, even if you do not fulfill these criteria of eligibility, you can just start with CELCIS classes only. And for example, if you complete our pre-advanced level, you would be eligible to enter Pathway 1. And if you start with our advanced level and complete it, you will be then eligible to continue in Pathway 2 programs. So there's a lot of flexibility here, and you can either start with full ESL programming, or if you qualify, you can either start with Pathway 1 or Pathway 2 levels. So next slide. So in terms of our CELCIS courses, our courses are skill-based courses, and both at Pathway level or CELCIS only. They are divided into speaking listening classes, grammar communication classes, and reading writing courses 1 and 2. For Pathway 2, we also offer more specialized courses, which is oral communication and written communication course. So these are transitional courses, also preparing you for academic skills. And we would accommodate different levels. So with our coursework, we can accommodate different levels of proficiency, starting from elementary through intermediate, pre-advanced, and our highest levels are advanced and advanced plus levels. So if you complete advanced plus level, you also will be qualified to enter undergraduate academic programs. So if you have any more questions related to CELCIS and our offering, I will be happy to answer them at the end of this presentation. And now I would like to hand it over to our next speaker, who is, I think, one of our JIC and WMU alumni, Christopher. So thank you.
Hi, how's it going, everybody? My name is Christopher. I'm a former Western alumni. I just graduated last year, actually. So if you could go to the next slide. So my education is, I graduated in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in integrated supply management, and then I immediately continued with an MBA also at Western with a concentration in computer information systems. During my time here, I've had the pleasure of being an intern for GoPro in California, and after graduating from my master's degree, I continued working for Apple Maps as a product specification analyst. Slide. So before that, I started in JIC in 2013, and I did a 4-semester program into college with primarily business degrees, with primarily business courses and gen ed courses during my time there. And then I also moved to Western with a Dieter Haenicke scholarship within the time in JIC. Sorry, the format is kind of scribbled out there, but so during my time in Western Michigan, I was part of APICS Lab and was also the president of the Kalamazoo's Indonesian Student Association. And during my time there as well, I used to be working at Higgy, so the international office, and also Brock, of course, solutions assistant, which is a supply chain subdivision in the program. And aside from that as well, I was also doing I was also a international student orientation leader during my time at Western as well. So kind of like the major key takeaways there was I just did a lot of events and made sure I kind of like had a balance between work and college as well during my time at Western. If you go to the next slide, please. So just in general, I would say just continue going forward, studying at JIC, and then once you get to Western, kind of like find your own path, go deep into your interest as well, and kind of experience of like what Western could offer. Yeah, that's all for my end. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Novena and I also just graduated from Western. I just graduated this June and I majored in finance and minored in accounting. So can you go to the next slide? So the main reason why I chose JIC and WMU is mainly because of the scholarship. I initially wanted to go to JIC because of the cost saving and also the time saving, because you spend a year at home in Indonesia and then you can spend like 3 years at Western. And I just thought it was a great opportunity because I get to spend time more with my family before I go off to college. And also when I went to JIC, I heard about the amazing scholarship at Western, and that was really what encouraged me to go to Western. I really encourage everyone to study well at JIC and make use of this amazing opportunity because it's a great scholarship and Western is a great place to study. And so when I first came to Western about 2.5 years ago, so I spent a total of 3.5 years in college. And really, my advice to current students is be active. First of all, stay safe, whether you're going to be coming to Western this fall or you're staying at home or you're already at Western right now. Please stay safe and also try to utilize available resources, because as we spent this whole webinar talking about all the resources that Western has to offer for their students. And I really think it's important to make use of those resources. For me, like as an international student, my go-to place was the international office, like over at the Fonts building. And so they helped me with all my questions about my visa and also when I was looking into OPT and all that kind of stuff. And also they have a lot of guidance for students. And also besides that, whatever major you're joining or whatever college you're joining, we saw that they have a lot of resources. For me personally, I worked at the Career Center, at the Zane Career Center in the Haworth College of Business, which was an amazing opportunity for me. I got to make a lot of friends and learned a lot and networked a lot over when I was at Western. And I think it's important to know that you have those resources and to utilize those resources because they're really going to help you. I really think college is not just about learning in classrooms, but there's a lot to learn outside of classrooms. So I think it's important to seek out unique opportunities as a student. Personally, when I first came to Western, all I did was study for the first semester. And I realized, wow, this is sort of boring and I really want to stay active and do a lot more things. So I sought out unique opportunities. I started working at the Career Center where I really gained a lot of experience, like working for my first ever job and also just making a lot of friends and networking and learning a lot, especially getting myself ready for my career after I graduate. I went from like having a half-page resume to almost not fitting all of the stuff that I did at Western into a one-page resume. And I think that's really important because there's a lot to learn and that will really differentiate you from everyone else because you're already you're already in a unique position and you're already making use of a unique opportunity by being an international student studying abroad. But also, other than that, you got to make use of like all the other things that you can do. Like, for example, I also volunteered as an international student orientation leader when I was there. I tried because I study finance, in my classes, because it was a pretty small community too, I joined competitions and also volunteered I also volunteered for CELCIS at the discussion circles, which was a really fun opportunity because I got to make a lot of new friends. I met with fellow international students and were able to help them just talk about things and just relate to them because we're all in the same position. And that was a really fun experience too. So other than that, I think like for sure, as a former employee of the Career Center, I really encourage you to make use of that resource. We have career development specialists who can help you with career advising because obviously when you get out of college, you want to get a job straight away, right? And when I first came, I didn't know how to make a resume. I didn't have any interviewing skills. I didn't know anyone. So when I thankfully got the opportunity to work there, so I got to know all the inside and the outside. I got to network with employers and also meet a lot of people from, I guess, just meet fellow students at Hayworth and also international students who came to help came to get help at the Career Center. So you can get a lot of career advice from our career development specialists and also work on your resume to make sure that you are ready when you graduate from college, because you don't want to just leave Western with just a diploma. You want to leave with numerous skills that will help you when you graduate and that will help you get a job and perform well at your job. So I really think it's important to seek out those unique opportunities and don't go with the flow. Just do whatever you want and be ahead of everyone, because that's important. And you want to differentiate yourself from everyone. So that's about it from me.
Thank you so much, Christopher and Novena, for your words, our students' words, for all the students out there considering coming to Western Michigan University. Our students' words, Christopher's and Novena's words are worth 1,000 words from the rest of us at Western, because obviously for all of you considering coming here, hearing from our students who came from JIC to Western Michigan has a very special value. Their voices are important in terms of giving you in the first person an account of what it is to be here at Western Michigan University and all the opportunities you have. So we're now open for questions, and I can actually, before we gather some few more questions, I can actually go back to a couple of questions that were asked on our chat in YouTube that were answered on the chat, but I'd like to bring them here so that you're all aware of that. We had a question about if it's possible for newly admitted international students to start their studies this fall with online classes only, taking those online classes from their home country and then come here to Western Michigan University to the campus in the spring of 2021. Yes, that's perfectly possible. You can take those courses, those online courses. Make sure that when you register for the courses, you make sure that the courses are tagged as online courses. If you have any questions, our International Admissions and Services unit is here to help you, and so you can take those online courses, and then also make sure that you work with our admissions counselors to get your I-20 ready to come here for spring. And there was another question, this one related to study abroad. In what semester will students be able to apply to study abroad? You can apply for your study abroad experience in any semester. There are study abroad programs literally in every single semester. And so you can apply for those programs. Obviously, this is an answer contingent upon all the restrictions of the current situation, the current COVID pandemic, but we are planning study abroad programs now for spring of 2021 and summer of 2021 and beyond. So you can certainly, from spring of 2021 beyond, we are planning on having study abroad programs. And also a question about if there's a minimum GPA to join study abroad. Now you have to be in good academic standing, of course. And that is a minimum GPA of 2.0 for you to be in good academic standing. But there's no minimum GPA to go on a study abroad. And how to get a scholarship for study abroad? Contact the Haenicke Institute for Global Education, but also your college. Because we have study abroad scholarships at the Haenicke Institute for Global Education, but certain colleges, and you heard from some of them today, talking about their own study abroad programs and their own scholarships for study abroad. But if you come to or if you get in touch with the Haenicke Institute for Global Education, our study abroad unit, they can also tell you not only about the Haenicke Institute's study abroad scholarships, but they can also tell you if your college has study abroad scholarships and who should you get in touch with at your college to learn more about them. So that's a great question. Let's see, we have a few more questions here. I don't know if Kendra, you want to, I'm sure that you get a lot of questions in, at JIC that you might also help relaying. So if you want to jump in and give us some of your usual questions that you receive from your students, feel free to join us.
Okay, so most of students are actually asking whether they can actually transfer midway. So if the border is already open and the embassy is already open, can they fly to US? Because I think they just want to spend more time in US, right?
So you mean if they could come here during fall semester? Right,
Like
right at the beginning, but
yeah.
Lee, do you want to answer that? We've had this question many times. So.
Yeah.
Is this a matter of, I think if students are asking, like, can they arrive late? Like, if they get their visa late, is that the question?
Yes, that's the question.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes, so it's possible that if the student is able to select hybrid type courses where they can start the online portion from abroad and then get a late arrival I-20 and be here in time so that they can still make progress for the in-person parts that are more like in the middle of the semester, then that's a possible solution. But that's going to take some working with international admissions just to make sure that, there's the right mix of courses for that student. So basically, yes, there are options for late arrival. We're issuing I-20s for September 2, and then even where this works, a late intake for October 2. And at the very latest, students would need to arrive by November 2, but that's kind of the outliers. We really try to prefer arrival for October 2, so they're not really, really late. But those are the options. It takes a special late arrival I-20 to indicate that students are permitted to arrive late for this. So just coordination with international admissions.
Okay. And thank you, Lee. And some of our students are actually asking whether the subjects for online is all available online because they're concerned about the scholarship requirement is to have 12 credits points right per semester, and we haven't heard of the classes that's open for this semester online.
we have many courses that are online. And so not all our courses are online. For fall, we are on a hybrid semester model, which means that we have many courses that are fully online. We have many courses that are in person, and we also have many courses that are a mix of both. They're hybrid courses. They have some classes that are online and some classes that are in person. And but we have a wide range of courses that are offered remotely, and so I would strongly encourage our students to look at the course list and look at how the courses are tagged, if they're tagged as online or hybrid or in person, and make sure that they have enough credits. But there are so many online courses that I think most students will be able to gather enough credits for a full semester. And let us know. Get in touch again with our international missions team if you have any questions and need assistance in finding courses, getting in touch with the colleges and so forth. There are a few other really interesting questions here on YouTube. One is if a student will start a fall 2020 on distance education, so online courses from their home country, is it still mandatory to register for orientation? And so that's a question for Mohan. Mohan, can you hear us?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The orientation is mandatory. So the orientation is going to be provided on August 26th. You can register online, and this fall semester, we are not going to provide the in-person orientation because many of our students may not be able to arrive on time. But it is compulsory. So we would advise all students to register for the online orientation, which is on 26th of August.
And even if you're studying online this semester as your first semester, you have great information and that you can get at orientation, at our virtual orientation this fall. So even if you're not here, doesn't mean that the guidance we're going to provide you with at orientation is not useful for you. So definitely join our orientation for fall. Another question we have is, scroll down here. If students need to opt for a health insurance plan right now, or if they can choose one after they join Western Michigan. So I'm guessing after they arrive at Western Michigan, or if they have to take care of finding health insurance right away before even arriving. Mohan?
Yeah, health insurance is mandatory only after you arrive here. If you are a newly admitted student and taking classes from abroad online, then you don't need to have a health insurance. This is basically a U.S. federal government's requirement. So that requirement will set in only after you personally arrive here to attend the university.
There's a follow-up question on the orientation. These are great questions, by the way. So I really appreciate students to asking these on YouTube. A follow-up question on orientation, saying or asking, the registration process for orientation requires students to fill the arrival date. So how can what arrival date should they register should they fill out on the orientation registration?
Yeah, I mean, if you are planning to arrive in person, I would expect that most of you know at least an approximate date of your arrival. Just put that date. And in any case, it is going to be online, so it will be easy for you to attend.
So I'm guessing that for a student who's going to take online courses in the fall and would arrive only for spring, but is taking orientation now, should they still fill out the orientation arrival date as the beginning of fall classes or as the beginning of spring classes?
Well, if students are enrolling online from abroad, and you can, we will do something in order for you to attend the online orientation. But when you're coming here for the spring semester, you must enter the date so that we can register you for the in-person attendance of the orientation.
A question about COVID testing. These are really interesting questions and useful. If it is possible to do COVID testing at CELCIS. CELCIS is Western Michigan University's health center, available to all students, but also faculty and staff. And so the question is if it is possible to do COVID testing at CELCIS Center while being on OPT. If you're on OPT, you're still a student at Western, so you're still part of the Western community. So you can go to CELCIS. I mean, Lee, do you have anything that you?
That's a good question. I'm not aware of students having any difficulty there, but go in, bring your health insurance, your Western identification card, and let us know if there's any type of issue.
Well, the CELCIS is advising that if you show any symptoms, you should get it checked. And if you have student like health insurance, the CELCIS is going to bill the health insurance. And whatever portion the health insurance doesn't cover, the information that we have is that CELCIS is going to absorb whatever is the deficient part of the cost. Our understanding is that the fee right now is about $81 for COVID testing in CELCIS, and they will bill the insurance company, and if the insurance company pays fully, then that will be good. If they pay partially, the rest of the remainder will be absorbed by the CELCIS.
Question here about internships and asking our two WMU JIC alumni, they can share their experience in getting an internship and the process of getting an internship and doing the internship. So Navin and Christopher, if you wouldn't mind giving a account of any experiences you might have had with internships, that would be great.
Are they here?
Yeah, I mean, I could start with internship experience. Sorry. So when I did my internship, I did go through a lot of different companies. I think being an international student, trying to find a job here is much more difficult than compared to a student like a Western graduate. So I would just start by focusing on what strengths you have, kind of set yourself apart when it comes to selling yourself to these companies, and making sure that you have the key skill sets that is needed to be in these companies. Just to put that into context, when I applied for a GoPro, I talked to them about my strength. During my time at Western, I went through a lot of classes that kind of helped with the positions I was applying to, especially in GoPro's case. They needed someone who could do macro or Excel, and fortunately during that semester, I had the experience of doing macro Excel as well. So I had the opportunity to help and like explain the concept to the recruiter there. So kind of like aligning like what your coursework is with the job requirement is also very helpful when applying for internships. That's it for my part.
So I would just add that so I don't have any internship experience in the United States because I had an internship back at home in Indonesia. But when you're trying to find an internship in like in Kalamazoo or in the United States, I would say the first thing you have to do is to go to the Career Center. I know I keep talking about the Career Center, but it's such a great resource because the first thing that you have to have is a resume. So I would come to the Career Center and come talk to us about your resume. We can give you some advice, and also just career advising in general, like what you want to go into, and like Chris said, what skills do you have and what interests do you have, so we can try to talk to you and try to align them for you and like suggest something for you. And other than that, I would say that we have at the Career Center, we also host a lot of events for students, like a lot of networking opportunities. So we have we invite a lot of employers to campus. Well, I don't know how it's going to change with COVID, but we do have a lot of events with employers where you can network. And I think networking is the most important thing if you're trying to find a job or find an internship. And also you can go to our other resource, which is Handshake. And so we post job openings on Handshake. So I would suggest going on Handshake and looking for opportunities there. And also going to career fairs, even though it's online, it's virtual now, I think there's still a lot that you can gain from joining those events. For the Haworth College of Business, for business students, we have especially Business Career Day in the fall, and in the spring we have just a general career fair, and also for engineering students we have Engineering Expo, right? So I would suggest going to career fair and be as active as possible, network a lot, and make sure you polish up your resume. And also, when you do get that interview, come to the Career Center and just practice with us. You know, we can give you a lot of advice for interviewing skills too. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah, I also like to add, so for like in the Haworth College of Business, for each major, they have a specific job career fair. Like when I was in supply chain, they had a supply chain career fair for fall semester or spring semester as well. And then also aside from that, like I think like the the food packaging program has a career fair. But specifically for international students, I'd also like not just go to the Western career fairs as well, but kind of like go out of state. Personally, when I did my experience, I also went to Michigan State, and I also went to University of Michigan's career fair. So kind of like opening or like widening like the opportunities could possibly give you more interviews or more, like even possibly more offers. So that's just like my word of advice. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question here about, and this is from a student who's going to do distance education during fall. How are the students going to get textbooks and related resources during fall when studying from their country? And this is a question for which I'd ask from some input, from one of our or all of our college representatives, if Dr. Cousins or Dr. Newell wouldn't mind giving us some information about how their colleges, their faculty are preparing to have resources available for the students while they're studying remotely.
Yeah, I can get started. So our Student Success Services office has been remote since March with really terrific services that range from peer mentoring. These are one-on-one relationships that we have peer mentors that are exceptional students advanced in their academic careers. So they could be graduate students, more generally they're juniors and seniors, and they cultivate sort of one-on-one, independent of any particular course, but more along the lines of study skills, the habits, and some of the resources that students need to be successful. And they meet a couple times a week, and the results of those are just exceptional. So if you are just looking for a head up, or just really want to do your absolute best, those peer mentoring relationships are terrific. And this is in addition to all the other tutoring relationships that we have on campus for individual courses. And we have every course represented. So if you have not just difficulty, but again, I mean, if you'd like to step out and truly excel in any of our courses, our tutoring services, and this is run through the Student Success Service Office, and Katie Easley is the director of that office. So they do a lot of work in physics and biology and chemistry, but also in history and geography and political science. I think where they really excel are in what we call gateway courses. And we have a program called Gateways to Completion that really focuses on the kind of stopping points. So these are the calculus, your organic chemistry, introduction to physics, the psychology 1000, really difficult courses that are gateways into the major, but are also stumbling points for students. So we've done our best to, and we've really terrific results from really concentrating our tutoring services in those areas, and also working with faculty in those areas to provide extra support. So with teaching assistants and extended faculty hours, and all of these resources, of course, have been transferred to online. So really, I think exceptional services across the board with regards to student support. And then this is also in addition to academic advising support. And we have a fully staffed, there's 10 academic advisors in the College of Arts and Sciences that are just full-time. So there can be another set of liaisons that are assigned a caseload, very reasonable caseload of students, and they just monitor and track your performance throughout your academic career. So a lot of supports for students.
Paulo, let me just quickly talk a little bit about that. The professors in the online courses, they will have either materials that'll be online, but if there's a textbook that needs to be ordered, you should be able to get that worldwide through Amazon or whatever else. So it'll work like it normally does. I know a lot of the professors have their own materials. Some of them they're just providing for free online for their courses. But other materials, like I said, textbooks and things like that, can be ordered online also. So I don't think that's going to be an issue getting the materials or the textbooks, no matter where you're at, because our students are even now across the country and need to do the same thing.
Thank you. There's the question that same question keeps coming up, but we actually answered that, but I can very quickly go over it again in case you missed it. If it's possible to study online from your home country and then get an I-20 for spring, and getting a visa for spring, yes, it is. Make sure that all the courses you have chosen are tagged list as online for your fall semester, and work with our international missions team on getting your I-20 for spring. And we are at, I think it's time. I want to be obviously mindful of the time of all our participants here today on our panel. I'm truly grateful to our representatives from our colleges, Dr. Cousins, Dr. Newell, and Dr. Butt for joining us. Also grateful to all the members from my team who joined us here today, and especially to our students, our WMU JIC alumni. I never get tired to mention that their voices are so important for all our prospective students out there considering coming here to Western Michigan University through our amazing partnership with Jakarta International College. And that's my last word of being grateful and thankful to is directly to the Jakarta International College. Western Michigan University's success in global engagement relies heavily on these partnerships, on these global partnerships. And the work we developed with our very special partner institutions throughout the world, like Jakarta International College, is what guarantees a successful international enrollment strategy for Western Michigan University. So I'd like to send a special thank you for everybody at Jakarta International College. Kendra, thank you for joining us today. Thank you also to Francisca Leij, who was not here today, but who I also know very well, and she visits Western Michigan frequently. We miss her here. We miss seeing her here. And thank you to all our participants who are watching this webinar for being here with us today and being interested in the JIC WMU educational opportunities for you. Hope to see you in Kalamazoo very soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hunter. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Paulo. Thanks, Professor. Oh, Dr. Steve Bach.
Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you.
So much.